racing equivalent of the rodeo cowboy. They have no equal when it comes to dirt-throwing, fence-busting action. And as you'll see today, they have absolutely no fear. Hello, everyone. I'm Steve Evans, and today we bring you World of Outlaws sprint car competition from Devil's Bowl Speedway in Mesquite, Texas. You ask an outlaw driver what day of the week it is, he'll probably say race day, because they run over 65 races at 40 different racetracks from coast to coast, double any other major auto racing series. And most of those events are pretty basic facilities like Devil's Bowl here. A good half mile of dirt. There's no air-conditioned VIP suites or corporate presidents chanting, "Gentlemen, start your engines." But the most important element is here, and that's the crowd. Thousands of fans who dearly love this kind of racing. Now, in a series this grueling, you need a special and very durable race car. Here's Paul Page.
You know, Steve, the real beauty of the American sprint car, that with the exception of slightly wider tires, the roll cage, and the wings, the American sprint car over the past 5 decades externally has remained mostly unchanged. But don't let the external looks deceive you. This is an incredibly sophisticated machine, very strong and very durable. For example, all of the tubing in the frame is made of aircraft-grade chrome moly. It's terrifically strong and built to take the impacts that it takes throughout a race day. The car itself, in every component, is made up of the strongest possible materials. The end result is a car that it's designed to run on the dirt just as fast and hard as it can. And if you look back over the Devil's Bowl alone since 1949, this kind of car has entertained the fans, as it will do here once again today.
Paul, you only have to look back as far as yesterday. In preliminary competition, watch the car closest to the wall. The number 40 car, that is Dave Blaney. This was the first lap of a heat race. He got into the wall hard, upside down, and it's a good thing those machines are, as we both called them, durable. Blaney, strapped in tight with arm restraints, walked away from this wreck as vicious as it was. But traffic trying to miss Blaney created problems further down the racetrack.
As Blaney's car flipped along the outside wall, a gaggle of cars crashed onto the inside wall. In the center of that group, Steve Kinser.
The 7-time Outlaw champion managed to stay right side up, but took a chassis-shattering shot against that inside wall. They were not quick to admit defeat, but finally had to write the car off. They hauled the wreckage back to a motel parking lot and overnight have built a brand new race car. Earlier this morning in the pit area, Paul Page talked to Steve Kinser, the first millionaire sprint car driver.
Well, here's Steve Kinser, who was involved in a main straightaway accident here at the Devil's Bowl yesterday, and the car terribly damaged. You really had to do a total rebuild overnight.
Well, what we had to do is just basically just put a new frame underneath the car. The car really looked like it was tore up exceptionally bad. It wasn't really, you know, other than the frame wasn't really hurt. The car wasn't hurt a whole lot, and we're lucky enough the frame underneath the car is basically one of the cheapest parts of the car. So, but to switch it all around, it was about 3 o'clock this morning getting it all ready to go. So, yeah, we're back the way we was. The car's just not quite as pretty as it was, but we're ready to run today.
There'll be 4 heat races today. All are 10 laps and 4 transfer to the feature in each. We won't see Kinser until the final heat race. But already out on this half mile are 11 cars for heat number 1, Paul Page.
All set to run with the first 3 rows inverted. Tommy Estes Jr. sits there in the first row. Take a look here in the second row. Another member of the Kinser clan from Central Indiana, Mark Kinser, one of the cousins, as if Steve hasn't earned enough money already.
By inverted, we mean all of these cars were timed in qualifying laps. And instead of being on the pole, Gary Zitteritz, the quickest of this group, is back on the inside of the third row to make for better racing.
This is a great day for racing. It's slightly overcast. The track is nice and moist and tacky, and that overcast should keep it just exactly that way. As they roll down to the green flag, Lanny Edwards Jr., the flagman, gives them the green, and we're racing.
And it's car number 39, Tommy Estes Jr., the white machine, leading the pack onto the back straightaway. But look at car number 48. Mark Kinser has already shot into second place, and now he's challenging for the lead. He's riding a rim shot here around Tommy Estes Jr. Mark Kinser leads in half a lap.
High on the outside, Kinser really found some racing room. As we look back now, the battle for 4th place. 85S is Greg Bloxham being chased by Larry Bell in 53 and Bradway in 3C.
And that 4th position, as important as a win, it will take you to the main event. And Greg Bloxham, 85S, is being hunted down by 3C Dave Bradway Jr., and Bradway gets around him on the inside of turn 1.
Using the low groove, Bradway blocks him, but blocks him, then comes low and comes past Bradway again. This is the battle for 4th place, and it's the position that counts because the top 4 transfer into the feature.
Bradway in the white 3C car tries it low coming out of turn 4. Now they are side by side, pitching him sideways into turn number 1, and this time it appears that Bradway will take that all-important 4th position. And here is our leader, Paul.
Mark Kinzer has a racetrack all to himself as he runs well out in front. Almost a full straightaway lead now. We go back to the battle for 5th place now as Greg blocks him in the 85 car, tries to hold off the 70 machine of Griffin. Griffin gets inside him. They come to the backstretch. Again, they accelerate side by side, and there goes Griffin by to pick up 5th place.
That will indeed put Griffin in 5th place, and for 4th, now Dave Bradway Jr. Hasworth is getting some heat from Richard Griffin.
So Griffin on the charge behind that white 3C car. The 70 car of Griffin closed down. They're both able to use the low side of the circuit. Again, they're on the backstretch. Most of the passes have been made going here into turn 3. It's not going to happen here. But still, the charge from the 70 car, that's Richard Griffin. He comes up behind Bradway again. Going to get down inside him this time. They're very, very close. Almost touch wheels as they come onto the backstretch.
Physical outlaw sprint car racing. Sawing on that steering wheel is Richard Griffin. They go into turn number 3. You know he's going to duck low going into 4. No, he doesn't get as low as he wanted to be. He had some control problems there. So far, Bradway able to hold him off in the white 3 car.
Both of the cars sticking pretty well as once again Griffin comes to the inside. This time it works. He pulls high, gets into 3 high and holds on to the place. So he now has 4th place and Bradway drops back.
Richard Griffin in the 70 car just tearing up this racetrack and extending his lead there. He's got to stay in 4th, remember, to go into the main event correctly. Here's the leader, Mark Kinzer, taking the white flag. There's only 1 lap remaining on a short half-mile track. No time for anybody to catch that man, Paul.
Good pass, though, for Richard Griffin. When he got into 4th place, he assured himself a position in the feature if only he can hang on there. Here comes Mark Kinzer. The checkered flag flies. The first heat belongs to Mark Kinzer.
Mark is one of a half a dozen of racing Kinzers out of central Indiana. 3 of them are here today. Mark, Steve, and Kelly, and at least one of them right now has gone to the main event. Stick around. We'll be back with heat number 2 here at Devil's Bowl, Speedway, where the results of heat number 1 in the Copenhagen Challenge World of Outlaws Sprint Competition is official. Mark Kinzer, number 1, Tommy Estes Jr., followed by Greg Woolley, Richard Griffin, 4th. Those 4 are qualified directly to the main.
First heat complete. Another Kinzer puts his name again in the record book. Looked like a nice, smooth run for you.
Yeah, we got Russ Ray and Terry Chappelle working on the Allen Knott Honda team, and they run real good. I tell you what, I've had a real competitive car this year. We've had a lot of fast times. We've had some bad luck. We haven't been there at the checkered, but I tell you what, we're looking good today, and then we hope to be there at the finish.
Overcast, light breeze, cool temperatures. Track looks good.
Yeah, I tell you what, I think we're going to see some real good racing today for daytime. It's getting a little bit of rubber laid down on the track, and tire compounds are going to be a major factor in shocks, and everybody's going to, it's going to be just a heads-up game.
Back to 2nd place, Steve Evans.
Thanks, Paul. Well, Tommy, a nice, strong 2nd place finish, but your car looked very loose coming out of turn 4. In fact, Mark Kinzer was the only one that seemed to hook up there.
Yeah, I kind of messed up on the start. I wasn't thinking it would be that good at the top of the racetrack, and he just drove by us all on the top, and I got down on the bottom in the loose stuff, and the tires were just spinning. That's my own fault.
But, you know, for a day race, I don't think you could ask for a much better track than we've got today.
Hey, it's good, you know. It's going to be a dry, slick racetrack, and everybody knows it, and everybody's got to run on it. But like you said, it's smooth, and there's going to be 2 or 3 grooves.
Good luck in the feature.
All right, thank you.
Ready to go with the 2nd heat of the day. Again, the top 4 from this heat will move into the feature. And take a look at Ronnie Schumann's number 10 there in the 2nd row, and look over his shoulder. First time ever television pictures from out of a World of Outlaws sprint car. Casey Luna, the car owner, said, come on, put that thing on board. Let's show them what it's really like. So we hope that you're going to get that idea today.
And Schumann, not only the first to carry an onboard camera, but he's the first to seriously campaign a Ford motor. Still in the development process, but he had some good qualifying times. On the pole is Bobby Davis Jr., red 6th. Now, Davis had the same kind of chassis damage in that crash yesterday Kinzer did, and he also has had to build a brand new car on a bare chassis.
Once again, we look at 11 cars that are ready to take the green flag, the 2nd of 4 heats, and the top 4 of these cars will move to the feature. That means that 4th position is so very important just to make sure that you move on and try to make some of the big money.
If you're not in the top 4, there is a consolation race. But even if you win that, you're going to start at the back of the main event with little chance of winning. The Outlaws circling around. We should get a green flag just about between turn 3 and turn 4. Ron Schumann is ready. There you see the onboard camera, a diamond piece for its first. Just ahead of him is Lee Brewer in the orange car, and we do have a green flag. The heat number 2 race is underway.
You're looking over Ronnie Schumann's shoulder as Tim G comes down on the inside. The 23 car drives off to the right, so Schumann is in third. G is in second place right now.
And leading it is Bobby Davis Jr. from Memphis, the 6 red car, with Tim G second, Ron Schumann third, and the all-important 4 slot, the 1X white car, Rick Unger.
And Lee Brewer, who started on the outside of the front row, pulled off. You can see that they're slowing now, and there is Lee Brewer, the man who caused the caution.
And for the first time, we saw the start of a sprint car race from the driver's point of view. We mentioned the Ford in the number 10 car of Ron Schumann. Well, the Chevrolet has been the workhorse of sprint car racing for the last 25 years. And earlier during this event, Paul and I had a chance to compare the 2 engines. Paul first with the Chevy.
Well, this has been the standard of this form of racing for years and years. This is the Chevrolet production-based racing engine. Now, it's not really a Chevrolet anymore. The block is a Rodak. The fuel injection is Hillborn, Joe Hunt magnetos, and a lot of expensive hand-built parts. But it is what has been winning on the dirt for years. Now, this particular engine, while they're allowed 410 cubic inches, runs 408 cubes, and it'll produce over 700 horsepower. While it has been dominant for a long time, there is a new bandit on the block, and Steve Evans has that story.
As you know, Paul, nothing race fans like better than a Ford-Chevy rivalry. Well, thanks to the number 10 car driven by Ron Schumann, they'll find that now in the world of Outlaws. That is patterned after the 351 Ford motor. All the parts are from Ford's special vehicle operations. It's an aluminum block, aluminum heads, fuel injector by Kinsler, but also carries a Ford part number. Does it perform? Well, apparently so, because looking at the point standings, Ron Schumann sits in the number 5 spot, and this is the first season with that Ford power plant.
So double history here of Ford engine and an onboard television camera. It makes for a magnificent combination as, again, we look over the left shoulder of Ronnie Schumann.
Well, Paul, we're about ready for a restart. They don't appear to be in the right order, but that's kind of the outlaw way. You know, they're pretty loose about this sort of stuff in the heat races. They'll get real serious later on.
So the green flag comes out, and this time it's Ronnie Schumann. Nobody explained that an onboard camera, you really would like to have something out in front of it. Nevertheless, he is running in first place as he pitches it down into turn 3. That's turn 3. The car leans over. They're heading for 4 now, and you're looking at the main stretch.
And look at Ronnie sawing on that steering wheel. In these cars, you have to turn right to go left.
Here's the fight for second place. Number 6, Bobby Davis goes high. That's Ricky Hood in 5X down low as they come side by side, but Bobby Davis has second place. Some terrific action as they work their way around this track with Ronnie Schumann in front.
We talked about the importance of that 4th place. Well, here we see it. Rick Unger, the 1X car, has got 4th, but just behind him is young Joe Garrity in the white 3G car, and behind him, 88 Tim G in the 6th spot, and they are bumping and running.
Some terrific racing in this, the second heat. There's the leader, Ronnie Schumann. He has a full straightaway lead. Let's join him in the cockpit as you see him pitch that car around the circuit. Heading off of turn 2 now, onto the backstretch. He reaches up, makes an adjustment to the wing, throws her down into 3. That's turn 4 already. You can see the grandstands on the outside of the main stretch. Ronnie Schumann running in the lead. It's Ford powered, and it's got our onboard camera. Look at it as he actually turns in where he's almost facing the crowd in the infield. Comes off of 2 once again. You're riding in a world of outlaw sprinter. This car, number 10, powered by Ford, driven by Ronnie Schumann, and joined by you with that onboard camera. It's the main stretch. You can see the front end wash back and forth. Look how close he brings that nose down. You almost see the spectators on the inside of the circuit head on. It's the backstretch, and it's Ronnie Schumann leading this heat number 2. If Schumann stays here, then he moves on into the feature. The first 4 cars will move to the feature.
And here is that all-important race for 4th. 1X Rick Unger, the white car, still has the position. Just 2 car lengths behind him is young Joe Garrity in the white 3G, a second-generation driver. And Garrity gets tapped a little bit from behind by 88 Tim G, just to remind him he's there. Nobody wants to run that consolation race, Paul, unless they absolutely have to. It's just more wear and tear on the machines for very little money. The only way to avoid that is being no worse than 4th. So the pressure here is really on these guys, not Ron Schumann, who's out in the lead.
In the heat races, it's nice to be number 1, as the number 10 car is. And Ronnie Schumann obviously has an easy day, though. He begins now to close on lap traffic, and that's where you you have to be so very, very careful because sometimes these cars in the back, this is Devlin Polkinghorn just in front of him, and you're not really sure of those guys. You don't see them quite as much. You don't know what they're going to do, and so like Ronnie Schumann did just there, you wait until a nice, safe position, and then you rocket on by just as carefully as you can. Ronnie Schumann just saw the white flag. He is on his last lap and on to victory. Remember, it is fourth place that is really the key position. First through fourth will transfer into the feature.
We are all riding with Ronnie Schumann as there he sees the checkered flag. He will win heat number 2. But what about fourth? 1X Rick Unger still has the fourth position. Tim G, the 88 car, goes down underneath it. Does G have fourth? No, G slides high and right into the 3G car of Joe Garrity. Rick Unger will hold on to that fourth position. But you talk about tense for a moment. Here's the 10 car, the winner of the heat. The onboard camera showing Ron Schumann steering the machine into the infield area, back to the Casey Luna trailer. And we'd like to thank that entire crew for all their patience and help in installing this onboard camera. What a treat it has been. Stay with us for heat number 3.
From Danville, Indiana, Hank is actually Danny Smith's K9 and a member of the crew on his 3X machine as they ready for the next heat. In heat number 2, Ronnie Schumann, Bobby Davis, Rick Hood, and Rick Unger all made it into the feature. Now here's Steve.
Well, Ron, the only Ford-powered Sprinter on the tour, looked awfully strong in that heat. A nice victory.
Well, it's a little bit like what I like. I mean, running the top, you know, the cushion up against the fence and all that, and that's kind of where I like to be.
You know, last year when we were here, the inside concrete wall did not exist, and you were able to get a little lower coming out of turn 4. Is that hard to adapt to this track in this configuration?
Well, it is for the guys that like running low. It isn't for me. I mean, it doesn't bother me a whole lot, but I think it makes it a little more racy of a track because the guys running the bottom can't make the nice arc that they could before. And it helps a guy like me that wants to run around on the outside. It also helps me a little. I want to run on the top and then run off the bottom. It makes it a little more racy.
See you in the feature.
Thank you.
Okay, let's go to Paul.
Steve, second place, Bobby Davis Jr. After the start, you just really had to settle for running alone.
Well, yeah, Ronnie got us there on the starts, you know, and we got kind of caught in the black on the start of the race, and Ronnie got a good start, so we just kind of fell in line there, and all you had to do is finish in the top 4, so... you know, it's not worth taking a big chance in the heat race.
Looks like the track's holding pretty good. Bodes well for the feature?
Well, I think it's going to get really slick for the feature. Right now, it's not too bad, but it's going to get slick, and we're going to have to watch the tires probably.
We continue with Steve Evans in fourth place.
Thank you, Paul. Rick, I have to tell you that Tim G really wanted that fourth place spot. He was dogging you lap after lap.
Well, he didn't want it no worse than I did, I'll tell you, because we didn't qualify very well, so if we'd have missed it through the heat, we'd have been in trouble in the B main, too, so he didn't want it half as bad as I wanted it.
Now, you don't have rearview mirrors on these cars, but can you feel that kind of pressure? You hear them?
Well, you can hear them usually, and I could actually see him getting under me on the bottom down here, but I knew that outside was the best groove, and I knew we could beat him off the corner down there. And so I felt pretty good unless I would have slipped off the bottom here and he maybe could have got us. You got to really run down low here, but up there it's definitely faster up high right now.
Good job.
Thank you.
The action continues. They're all started and ready to go. Heat number 3. Again, the top 4 will transfer to the feature.
Inside on the front row is 3X Danny Smith. He's one of the few drivers who have been with the World of Outlaws since they started in 1978. The cold winter months, well, you'll find him down in Australia doing this very same thing. And alongside Danny in that front row, the 45X car, a second-generation sprint car driver, Johnny Herrera. His dad owns the car. Johnny is just a couple of years out of high school, but last year was the World of Outlaws Rookie of the season.
So once again, it is 11 cars as they roll slowly down the backstretch. Next time through, they'll be at speed, about 120 miles an hour and over 4,800 RPM. Slowly now, Danny Smith on the inside. Johnny Herrera, number 45 on the outside, last year's Rookie of the Year. The pace begins to pick up. Danny Smith snaps the throttle down. 3X jumps into the lead. Danny Smith has the lead, and we are racing as Craig Keel dropped into second place. He's followed by Herrera.
And look at the move on the inside. Jack Hautenschild, the red number 2 car, he just nerfs everybody aside and moves into second.
Craig Keel in number 8 is up high there as Keel tries to challenge the 2 car of Hautenschild. And Herrera in 45 is able to drop in behind the 2 car and picks up third place.
Indeed, and he's followed by 8X Craig Keel and 63 Jack Hewitt. So it's really 8X Craig Keel who has that final. Oh, and here is the 66 car has spun out. John Stevenson is on the shoulder of the racetrack. That's a dangerous place to be.
Look at this. Jack Hewitt bumps into the back end of Stevenson. He just got too high and got into him.
They had just started to display the yellow caution flag, and there's a good chance that Jack Hewitt in the 63 car did not see it and made contact with John Stevenson. Let's see how Stevenson got in that awkward predicament to begin with. Here you see that red car just about the center of your screen. He's getting higher and higher, and suddenly he gets served by Mike Ward in car number 61, causing him to go high. And then from the right side of the picture, you'll see Jack Hewitt add insult to injury. Now Hewitt is full on the brakes. He's back on the power down, but it's all just a little bit too late. I doubt that shot from Hewitt did much damage to the 66 car, but Mike Ward might have. Paul Page is down there to find out.
John, let me slide in here a second. It looks like you spun and then got hit up there in 4.
Well, what happened is somebody hit me in the front end and knocked me out toward the wall, and I stopped it just so I wouldn't hit the wall. And it was the first lap yet, so I thought we'd get a restart. But Hewitt come around and ran into me. They must not have got the yellow flag out in the back chute fast enough. So just one of them deals in racing, I guess.
Well, there's 9 laps remaining in this heat race because under outlaw rules in these short races, only 10 laps. None of the yellow flag laps count. So leading them around, we may see a green flag on this lap is Danny Smith in the 3X car, Jack Howdenchild from Ohio, the wild child in the second position, and young Johnny Herrera. We indeed have a restart, Paul.
And Danny Smith gets a terrific start as he pulls out in front of Howdenchild, who is in second place. And Herrera drops into third. 1, 2, and 3 are all separated right now as they head for the backstretch. That red 3 car, that is Danny Smith. He's been with the Outlaws ever since they began. Here is the fight for third place, though. The 45 car is Johnny Herrera and the 1ST of Darrell Hainstead.
That's right, an 8X Craig Keel challenging Darrell Hainstead for 4th, and he is going to take 4th position, possibly, Paul. Look at him go down low. Yeah, what a nice maneuver that was by the number 8 car, Craig Keel. He's in the final transfer position, and I don't believe he's going to be satisfied with that either. He's going to start knocking on the door of the 3rd place runner, number 45X, young Johnny Herrera.
At the same time, that 61 car is Mike Ward. He certainly would like to come forward and pick up that position occupied by Keel at the moment. But Keel roars past Herrera and moves forward yet another position.
Into the 3rd spot. And now 45X Johnny Herrera, he hears the roar of the engine in the 1ST car of Darrell Hainstead. Darrell's in the 5th position and not happy about it. Look at this fight.
Hainstead now down way, way low, and he takes 4th place. What a wonderful fight as all these guys are trying to get into the feature.
And boy, have they been beaten up on little Johnny Herrera. He thought for sure he was going to the main event.
It's been a magnificent battle revolving around 4th place. Everybody trying to get in. Look at this. Mike Ward overcooks it just a little hot. Coming off of 2 and into 3. And as a result, he spins. We have a caution flag out. So they slow this 3rd heat one more time. And what a fight we have seen. It has really been wonderful. This is exactly what outlaw racing is all about. Here at the Devil's Bowl, some of the best. A track just a little under a half mile. Nice, tacky Texas gumbo surface, and that makes for some great racing. Mike Ward, they've got the push truck there. They hope to get him going once again. You know, they do burn up an awful lot of rubber when they run at these events. Here's Steve.
See this mountain of Goodyear Racing rubber? Well, multiply this stack by 10, and you've got the approximate number of tires an outlaw team would go through during the course of a season. Translated into dollars, about $50,000. It's their number 1 expense, travel being second. Now, the harder, drier daytime tracks, like here at Devil's Bowl today, are toughest on tires. They'll go through about 6 of them today, 5 in the rear and 1 right front. Now, the more you win, the lower your tire bill, because for every 10 points you accumulate, and that's equivalent to a win, you get 1 free tire. And you can bet everybody's going to ask for a right rear because they go for $175 a piece.
Well, they're lined up, ready to go again. We have 5 laps left. Smith leads it. Howdenchild second. Keel, Hainstead, and Herrera, number 45, would love to get up into 4th place. We're green. We're racing again with 5 to go, and this is the 3rd heat. And once again, it's 4th position that is really the key here.
Indeed it is, Paul. 8X Craig Keel on the restart sitting in 4th. He's got Jack Hewitt, car number 63, behind him, who got a super restart and zapped Johnny Herrera, pushing Herrera further out of contention.
Jack Hewitt, the number 63 car on the charge. Herrera to the inside. Look at Hewitt just pitch it right across the front of Herrera. And look at the 12 car now. Number 12 moves forward. That's Steve Perry, and he gets around for 6th place, and already he's going to challenge Hewitt for 5th.
Well, he may have his hands full with the veteran Hewitt in the 63 car. Look at Hewitt go real high, and down low goes Perry. Two totally different styles, and they end up side by side coming out of turn number 2. Hewitt went high, grabbed a little cushion, whatever there is there. That worked for him, but now it is Perry down low. Hewitt can really ride the outside of this racetrack, and they said it didn't exist. Let's see if he does it again. No, he said not one of those was enough. He's going to stay down low and try to defend his position.
Well, Hewitt found something there that worked on the outside, and Perry had to cut across the infield to try and stay with him. But what a magnificent lap that was. As Danny Smith, the leader, sees the white flag with 1 lap to go in heat number 3, he should cruise on to a victory. Here's the key position to race for 4th, and it's a hot one.
This is not a race, it's a war. Craig Hewitt, the number 8 car, fighting off 63, Jack Hewitt. Here comes Danny Smith for the checkered flag, but they're still battling for that 4th position as they come out of turn 4. It is Craig Hill in front. Here comes Hewitt on the inside. I couldn't call it. It was Craig Keel. Picks up the final qualifying slot. Wow.
One very close finish as Danny Smith wins it, but the battle for 4th place was unbelievable, and Craig Keel ended up the victor in the fight for 4th. We'll be back with the 4th and final heat in just a moment.
Buzzing over the action they're seeing in the Copenhagen Challenge sprint car racing. Danny Smith won heat number 3, followed by Jack Howden's-Child, Darrell Hangstead, Craig Keel, and Jack Hewitt. Paul Page is in the pits with the winner.
Well, in the end, as Danny Smith unbuckles and climbs out, notches another victory in the heat there. As he pulls his helmet out, Danny, it didn't look like he had too many problems there.
Yeah, well, starting off the front, it's pretty easy in a 10-lap heat race.
The track looks like it's providing some pretty good racing, though.
Yeah, it's going away real quick. All the moisture's about gone, except for middle of turn 3 all the way through 4. There's still plenty up high. Pretty soon it's going to start laying rubber down and probably start smoking the tires, so we'll have to put on some hard tires, probably.
That the only change you'll make for the feature?
No, we'll probably change the wing a little bit and change the shocks around a little bit and maybe go towards more a little bit left rear weight. We're pretty flat right now, so tires will be the big deal probably in the end. If the sun stays out, the track will get pretty abrasive, and usually here in the daytime it's like a drag race, burnouts. You know, start smoke. See the smoke start to roll off the tires. You know that the track will start getting faster.
All right, so Danny Smith and his crew, they have their work cut out for them. Let's go to Steve Evans.
When you come all the way from Weedsport, New York, you'd like to transfer right out of your heat into the feature rather than run the B main, and you just barely did that, Craig.
Well, I goofed up last night and had to run the B, and tonight I got in the heat. It saves a lot of work from going to the B and doing it the hard way.
Oh, you can say that again. Here is that 4th place run. That's Keel on the outside, Jack Hewitt on the inside, and Jack with the run as they hit the line. I'm glad I didn't have to call it. Officials decided Keel was 4th.
On the track, the final heat race, and some heavy hitters. On the pole, Rocky Hodges, the number 20 car. Back in the 2nd row, Shane Carson, the 4A car from Oklahoma City. And, of course, Steve Kinser, the king of the Outlaws. Now, if you're wondering where some of your other favorites are, let me tell you they were automatically seeded into the main through successful competition yesterday. And that is Sammy Swindell, Jimmy Sills, Brad Doty Jr., and Bobby Allen. You will be seeing them in the main event. Not to worry.
Also starting in this particular heat is the man who started all of that trouble yesterday, Dave Blaney. So they got their car repaired, and Blaney is hoping to get into the feature as well. Green flag waves, and we are racing.
Bobbing and weaving, they thunder into turn number 1, and it is Rocky Hodges in the 20 car, hugging down low. He'll take the lead in the early going.
Steve Kinser throws it high, comes around turn 2, picks up 2nd place, and Shane Carson drops in behind Kinser and is now running in 3rd. So it's Hodges, Kinser, and Shane Carson 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. The battle will develop for 4th.
In that all-important position is number 8, Bobby Marshall, the white car, followed by Dave Blaney, the black number 40, Chris Ish in 17E. They're all fighting for that final transfer spot. But up front, it's Rocky Hodges and Steve Kinser.
And back at the key 4th position, Blaney, number 40, has it now. Bobby Marshall screams by on the outside, but Blaney gets a better entrance into 1 and stays in 4th.
Rocky Hodges in the number 20 car trying to hold on to the lead. Kinzer goes down low. They come around into turn number 4. Hodges likes riding high. Kinzer, he likes the low line. So far, Kinzer unable to narrow that gap. However, in turn number 1, he does so as Hodges abandons the high side, comes down low. Kinzer takes a shortcut to the infield, and Kinzer may get him in turn 3.
Kinzer down low, but Hodges on the high side again. Now they come to the main stretch, and Hodges still has the lead. Kinzer liked the outside early as Hodges just chops it across Kinzer. They both track through the infield. That's 2 laps that they've done it now. Hodges still has the lead on the backstretch. Kinzer again closing. Now can Kinzer catch Hodges? Both of them have felt the track out as much as they dare. They both have found places they like to run, and Kinzer says he likes the inside. Hodges, don't you dare shut that door on me again. And Kinzer takes the lead going to the backstretch.
Rocky Hodges, one of the bravest of all the sprint car drivers. We saw him set a record, a world record on a big mile track in New York State a couple of years ago. This man has the courage it takes to do about anything he has to do.
Dude, don't you love it watching this battle for the lead? And we've got a yellow flag to slow the race down 15. Tony Armstrong, he is off the course just off of turn 1. Looks like there's damage to the left front. So the field will slow. These laps again under the yellow won't count as Tulsa, Oklahoma's Tony Armstrong is out hoping for a push and hoping to get back in.
And hoping there's no damage to his shock absorbers, a critical part on these cars, as Paul Page examined earlier today.
There are several things that these drivers can do to change their ride during the running of the race. One is to change the wing. Another is evident right here on Rocky Hodges' number 20 car. The shock absorber has a control line that runs up into the cockpit. And Rocky, by changing the adjustment on that dial, can change the ride of the shock absorber in the right rear. He can soften it if the track is too rough or make it stiffer if it's a nice smooth ride, and that gives him a better competitive edge.
And that same setup on most of the front-running World of Outlaw cars. Rocky Hodges, the car Paul was just talking about, he's in the 2nd position, but under this caution, he's been able to close up to Steve Kinzer and maybe challenge again for that lead in this final heat race. I don't know. Kinzer showing the stuff he's made up, the kind of talent that's taken him to 7 World of Outlaw titles.
The green flag comes out with just 4.5 laps to go now. The race on the course is for 3rd. 1st and 2nd come through. There is Shane Carson, and that is Dave Blaney down on the inside. Carson slides it high, comes onto the stretch. The high side seems to work for him. The nice thing here is that the track seems to be working for different drivers in different places, and that makes for good racing as Shane Carson picks up 3rd place from Blaney and moves on.
Shane Carson, a driver and also a promoter of sprint car racing at Oklahoma City. But right now, the best race on the track has got to be for that 5th position, and here you see it. It is Bobby Marshall in the 8 car, followed by 17E Chris Eash in the yellow machine, and number 15, Tony Armstrong, the white car.
So Bobby Marshall has to hold off Eash if he can. They're on the backstretch now. The yellow car of Eash, again, they use the low side. Again, we have 2 entirely different styles as Marshall tries to hold Eash off on the main stretch. Again, Eash tries the high side. Marshall gives it a quick kick down on the inside of the 1st turn. They move through 2nd. Eash comes up, closes on the backstretch. Now we're just talking raw power, and Eash seems to get the job done. It seemed like Marshall took a little twist there that he didn't need at all, and that cost him the position.
That's right, but 5th place around here won't even get you a cup of coffee. You've got to be 4th or better, and we're going on the last lap. And look at Dave Blaney. He is going to try to take 3rd from Shane Carson, and he does so. Here comes Steve Kinzer, the 11 car for the win. Rocky Hodges will take 2nd, and Dave Blaney on the final lap pulls out 3rd. Shane Carson will have to settle for 4th, but he doesn't mind. That will move him to the main event. Steve Kinzer, the fans expect him to win on hard, slick racetracks like this. There's nobody better, and he didn't let him down today. The heat races have been completed. Coming up will be the B main event.
Paul Page with Steve Evans, and we're back at the Devil's Bowl in Mesquite, Texas for the World of Outlaws Copenhagen Challenge. There's the results of the 4th and final heat. The winner, of course, Steve Kinzer.
Well, any doubts about this new race car were certainly dispelled with that heat performance, Steve.
Well, we look good in the heat. It's shame we got to start so far back in the feature, but we're working pretty decent. It's a long race. Maybe we can get to the front.
I got a little worried about you. You got very high in one. Were you just up there checking it out? Or?
Yeah, I was just sort of playing around because I wanted to pass some cars, so I just checking a couple different lines on the track, and I don't know. It don't look like a right place to be.
No, it didn't. In fact, you about got off the rim. But you were very impressive coming out of 4 down low.
Well, I was just sort of going up on the cushion a little bit and then letting the winds blowing into the sideboards there, and I was just sort of letting the wind catch a wing and push it back down and catch the moisture coming off the corner.
Feeling a little better now than you did this time yesterday?
A little bit better, but that's part of racing. We're a little bit used to that.
Indeed. Thanks.
All right.
Well, yesterday, Kinzer was being trapped against the wall in a first lap accident that totally destroyed his car, so he's racing today with a totally new machine.
We have got 18 cars out on the racetrack for what's called the B feature. It's the last chance for those who didn't transfer the main event from the heats. The top 4 will go to the main at the back of the pack. Young Johnny Herrera, he'll be on the pole. Lee Brewer, who's shown a lot of speed, just needs a little more handling. The man from the Yukon territory, Tim G., we've seen him out there struggling around a bit today. Jack Hewitt, who barely missed coming out of his heat, and Devlin Polkinghorn.
Seems like he ought to be the lord of an Irish castle and not a World of Outlaw driver. And as we noted earlier, there are 4 drivers, Sammy Swindell, Sills, Allen, and Brad Doty, who have already qualified for the feature by the nature of a finish in a show yesterday.
If any of these drivers hope to race one more time today for the big money, they've got to be in the top 4. The green flag is out, and down the front straightaway they come. Throttles down, and going into the lead is 23-yard Lee Brewer up the front row. There's a lot of pushing and shoving going on there. Johnny Herrera, 45X, in the second spot. Bobby Marshall, the white number 8, in third.
First, second, and third scatter out, but now Marshall tries Herrera down on the inside, and still they're all separated nice and even.
For the 4th position, 63, Jack Hewitt, the white car. 85S, Greg blocks him in the orange machine, and Tim G. still in there struggling.
In fact, he just got past 85S Greg Blossom, so the battle is for 4th, and it is a key position. Top 4 will transfer into the feature.
One driver who has really been on a charge here early, that is number 61, Mike Ward. He's already up to 5th, challenging Jack Hewitt in the 63 car for the 4th spot, and Ward started 15th on the grid.
And Ward, who is a pleasure to watch, continues this battle for 4th place with Hewitt. But it seems that Ward now has 4th place pretty well tied up. Hewitt drops back to 5th.
And look at Ward, the 61 car. He's coming up on Bobby Marshall, the 8 machine. He's going to get around him as well.
So Mike Ward, who started way back in 15th place, really has found the track here at the Devil's Bowl and is charging down the backstretch now. But number 8, Bobby Marshall, comes low inside Ward.
And really, there are 4 cars who are contenders for the 2nd place position, held by 45X Johnny Herrera, the red car. Just behind him is 61 Mike Ward in the white machine. Ward trying to get down under him into turn number 4. They're bumping and running. Bobby Marshall and Jack Hewitt made a little contact.
And Ward takes 2nd place away from Herrera. So Ward back from 15th all the way up to 2nd place now and has his sights set on the leader. Herrera drops back into 3rd place.
Don't you know, Ward wishes he'd have found this combination of staggering tires and suspension earlier on, or he might not even be in the B feature. He'd have gone right to the main.
Here's the fight for 4th place. That is 63, Jack Hewitt, as he gets around Bobby Marshall on the main stretch, and Hewitt slides into 4th place. So Hewitt could go on to the main if he can only stay there. Now he comes up and takes on Herrera. He's down inside Herrera on the backstretch. This is a battle for 3rd place. Hewitt, the 63 car, the bright orange wheels, as again he pulls high, really gets up into the soft stuff, and comes onto the main stretch, but they slow down.
That's right, Paul. There is a caution flag out. We've got a car that's off the course somewhere. There's been no accident, really. Apparently a mechanical failure, and it's up in the turn number 4 area. The number 3 car, Ron Beechler, it is red in color. In fact, there it is right there. Apparently has a flat right rear tire. Oh, a shredded right rear tire would be more like it. That's the kind of abuse that right rear takes. It creates so much heat, and then some of the drivers have told us, as this track gets more rubber down on it, it becomes more abrasive. He may have just worn it out till it blew up. So the hook is out for Ron Beechler.
Tremendous amount of energy being transferred to that right rear, and sometimes they just can't take it. So under yellow, they line up single file once again, the board being given to the drivers to tell them the order.
And when we do restart, Lee Brewer will be in front, Mike Ward right behind him. What a job he's done coming from the 15th position. Johnny Herrera, Jack Hewitt, and Bobby Marshall. You know, Paul Page, our investigative reporter, earlier today was down in the pit area, and he uncovered a very unusual new technical development.
You're looking down the center of what the manufacturers of the Duralite wheel feel is an important new advancement improvement in racing wheels. Now, anytime in racing you can make something lighter, less expensive, less complicated, hopefully it'll work better. This new development, the Duralite wheel, and this is the wheel's center, hopefully combines the properties of the wheel center, the hub, and the pressure plate all into one item. So when the wheel comes off, there is just this single center of the wheel mounted up with splines. Wheel goes back on, lighter, simpler, hopefully more efficient.
The latest hot tip from Paul Page. Okay, the green flag. The starter is holding on to it. We'll have to see if Yeti waves it. And look at him, nose to tail, the restart of the B feature.
And that's Hewitt that slides way to the outside to come alongside Ward. Ward down on the inside at number 61. And they are both chasing Lee Brewer as Hewitt takes second place away from Ward. They're on the backstretch.
There are about 8.5 laps left of the 15 because the yellow laps do not count under World of Outlaw rules. And look at this. Everybody hunting and fighting for that fourth position.
Once again, this is the battle for fourth. 45, and look at 3C, Dave Bradway. Bradway started in the 7th row, and now he's got fourth.
And as you can see, this track is drying out. There's an awful lot of dust in some of the corners. It's going to get faster, but it's also going to create more tire wear and possibly some more blown tires. We've already seen one of them.
There have been those predictions from the drivers as we're back to the front of the field, and that's Brewer in 23, and challenging him now is Jack Hewitt. But Hewitt doesn't seem to be able to catch Brewer. He'll get him at the end of the main straight, but then Brewer is able to pull away running through turns 1 and 2.
And Paul, look at this. Johnny Herrera, 45X, has gotten around Dave Bradway Jr., but there's a payback. Here goes Bradway again into that all-important fourth position. Herrera strikes back, and you can see the smoke coming off the tires of the free car of Dave Bradway. And that smoke is translated into rubber on the racetrack. More and more of it as it's starting to build into what the racers call a blue groove.
Back at the front of the field once again, Brewer continues with his fight with Jack Hewitt. Brewer has maintained the lead and been able to hold Hewitt back, but Hewitt is pulling up inch by inch every lap and has now really closed that gap. The 61 car of Mike Ward is now running in 3rd place, and they are both closing down on the leader, Brewer.
And again, it's Dave Bradway Jr. in the 3C car and 45X Johnny Herrera fighting it out for that 4th position. Tim G has dropped back there, the 88 car, into the 6th position.
So Brewer leads it. Second is Jack Hewitt, and Mike Ward has moved up from 15th, now runs in 3rd. They're into turn 1 once again, and the fight is for the lead as Brewer continues to try to hold off Hewitt. Ward takes a faster line for him on the outside of the circuit. Now all three have closed down. Hewitt tries Brewer on the outside. He gives it a long sliding pitch up to the soft stuff, and look at him fly past and pick up the lead. So Brewer back to second, but Brewer says none of that, and Mike Ward watches the whole thing, decides the outside line may be quick for him, and while Hewitt has the lead, it's a battle for second place now between Brewer and Mike Ward.
Jack Hewitt has used everything but the trees on the back stretch for traction. He hasn't made the same lap twice. And we're on the final lap. Here's the 61 car of Mike Ward. He is going to take on Lee Brewer. Can he get around him for the 2nd position? It'll mean a little better payday here in the B feature. Yes, he does do it. It is 2nd place now for Mike Ward, who started 15th.
Jack Hewitt slams the throttle one more time and takes the checkered flag to win the B feature. Here's the fight for 4th. Herrera, number 45, comes across in 4th place, and he will go into the A feature as well.
For number 63, Jack Hewitt, so narrowly missing transferring out of his heat race, this win in the B feature has got to be a big confidence builder because there's only one race left, and that is the main event.
You've waited long enough. Now it's your turn for the good times. Kawasaki's got 5 new bikes, all for under $2,500. 5 easy pieces for 1987. Easy to own, easy to ride, easy to find. 5 new Kawasaki's, all under $2,500 at your Kawasaki dealer.
Green light on that signal for the start of the main event here at Devil's Bowl, the Copenhagen Challenge World of Outlaw Sprint Car Competition. The B feature, that's history. Jack Hewitt won it, Mike Ward was 2nd, Lee Brewer 3rd. Now it's time to talk to the 4 men who haven't had to do a thing today to make the main.
Well, it all comes down to this. This is the feature, and the man on the inside of the front row, Sammy Swindell. But, Sammy, how do you approach this race with only hot laps to your credit so far today?
Well, we just have to go on, what we did the other day, and the car was pretty good shape. The racetrack is pretty much similar. It's a little different, but not much. So we're basically going with the same thing we did yesterday.
You go around and check the competitors pretty closely, though?
Well, we've been watching what the other guys have been doing, during the day, as to how the racetrack's been changing or how the tower wire's been going. But that's about all we can do.
So Sammy Swindell is ready. Let's go to Steve Evans, the outside of the front row.
Here's the kind of racetrack they're faced with here for the feature. It's rubber covered, it's very hard, and it's very, very lumpy. Look at the rubber there. How do you plan to handle it, Brad Doty?
Well, we thought we had it planned, then the sun came out, so we're still debating right now what we are going to go with.
The sun does what?
It'll be more abrasive, make the track more abrasive, and get some heat in the track, which makes the tire hotter, so therefore you need a harder tire, and we're just kind of watching the clouds right now and see what happens.
Could tire wear be a problem in 30 laps?
Yeah, this place used to be pretty hard on tires, but they're using a new chemical on the track, and so far it's not looking like it's doing that. If you went too soft, it would be a problem, but I don't think anybody's going to be that soft to be a problem.
Well, one big advantage is starting right up front.
Yeah, that's definitely on a deal like today a big advantage. If we're close and we hot lapped and didn't feel real good, we made some changes, and hopefully we got it right now.
Have a safe ride.
Thanks.
Paul?
Well, Steve, here on the inside of the second row, another man who is starting this race with hot laps only. What kind of preparation for you, Jimmy Sills?
Well, when we hot lap, we didn't feel like we were real tight on the racetrack, so we tightened it up a little bit more, and we went with a soft tire, and hopefully our car will work good enough where we won't burn our tire off, and we'll be able to go to the front.
Sammy, right in front of you, the plan to just tuck in right behind him?
Yeah, I think Sammy will probably be leading this thing at the end of the first lap, so I want to be right there with him.
All right, alongside and on the outside of the second row is Bobby Allen. He's with Steve Evans.
This lever right here controls the wing high atop these sprint cars. You can actually adjust it during the race. And Bobby Allen, you're on the outside of the second row. Would you make an adjustment, do you think, and how many times during a 30-lapper?
Usually you'll go out here and we'll run like a lap or two, and you'll move the wing forward or backwards, and like the track's not going to change much from now, and so you'll just adjust it and see how it feels good, and then you'll run. If you're running about fourth or fifth and they have a yellow, you might move it to see if it improves it, or if the rubber gets down, the car gets stuck hard, we'll move it real forward to compensate for it, make it handle a little better.
We saw you win exactly 1 year ago here. How do you feel about today?
Well, we have a little motor problem right now. We went out warm-ups and we can't get it running, so I'm feeling a little skeptical about it. We're hoping we made some changes, and we're hoping maybe it cured us, and now we're just hoping and guessing again.
We hope it did, too. Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay, Paul Page.
Well, Steve, here on the inside of the third row is Mark Kinzer. With one heat victory to your credit today, you've had a chance to feel this track, know what it's like to race it. What do you think?
Well, I think the track has changed quite a bit from when I was out there. There's more rubber on the track now, and it's going to make the car a little bit more stabler. I'm starting on the inside. I figure that's a pretty good place to start when the track's like this, and everybody ahead of me is real competitive and real smooth, so you don't really have to worry about anybody spinning out. It's going to be pretty well every man for himself in that first turn. They're putting a couple tires down on the inside to keep you out of the infield, and basically I think that'll help and keep a few crashes away. And I think basically just keep straight and just try to be there at the checkered.
All right, Mark Kinzer, good luck to you. On the outside of the third row, Ford Power. Let's go to Steve Evans.
Ron Schumann told me after his heat race victory, this was his kind of racetrack. You could run up high. Is that still true, Ron?
I don't know. They might have run high long enough where not even I can run high anymore. But I think we'll be able to run high through 3 and 4. But we're going to have to run right around the bottom of 1 and 2.
They've been cautioning drivers here on the PA to not get into the infield with all four wheels. Apparently, some people have been taking a shortcut.
Yeah, anytime, with the wing sprint cars, that's, the wings work so good through the corners, you can run almost anywhere you want, so the shortest way around is usually the quickest. And now that it's so dry slick, the shortest way around is the quickest. I hope they stay out of the infield.
We do, too. Good luck to you.
Thank you.
Paul?
Well, Steve, it's a long way to the front from way back here in the 8th row. Bobby Davis Jr., you've had one very, very tough weekend. What do you think?
Well, we had some real bad luck yesterday afternoon. We got in a bad crash in the first race, and then again we come back today with a new car, and we qualified real bad. We felt pretty good in the heat race, and like you said, we got a long ways to go.
You've been making corrections with the car ever since you got it totally built up again. How much have you learned, and how much have you been able to accomplish?
Well, we really haven't learned nothing today, both cars were identical, and we just swapped the parts back and forth. We need a new frame, and we put some parts off the other car and then put new parts on it. So everything, we're back to basic right now, and we just need to get going a little better.
So Bobby Davis Jr. is ready to run.
Thanks, Paul. Talk about waiting till the last minute to make your tire selection. Look at this. Steve Kinser's crew is changing the left rear right out on the grid. Stay with us for 30 laps of classic American dirt track racing.
In Mesquite, Texas, Paul Page in the feature.
Actually, this is the classic World of Outlaws salute to the crowd. If they ever do decide to start them like that, I'll buy a ticket. The crowd on their feet, saluting them back with their caps. And, Paul, this could be a terrific main event because we've got very quick cars back in the field a ways. In the third row is Mark Kinser and Ron Schumann. Steve Kinser, 7-time champion. He's in row 4. Back in row number 6 is Shane Carson and Lee Brewer. You'd expect them to be closer to the front. In row number 7, Tommy Estes Jr., he can fly. And Bobby Davis Jr., this may be the car to watch, number 6.
But Davis may have his work cut out for him because this track has gotten just a little bit slicker. But we've had a pretty good cloud cover, and it's retained some of its moisture. Many of the drivers have gone to a harder tire setup. They're hoping that it's going to be slick. If it's slick, though, that may reduce the number of opportunities to get past the guy in front of you. It's going to make for some great racing.
And there is that number 6 car back in the 8th row. That's Bobby Davis Jr., who crashed along with Steve Kinser yesterday. Had to build a new race car, not in a garage, in a motel parking lot. Here they come between turns 3 and turns 4. Do they see the green? Yes, they do.
Sammy Swindell low, Brad Doty high as they come down the main stretch answering the green flag. It's Swindell followed by Doty, and a battle for third place as Bobby Allen got a nice start. Now he comes inside Brad Doty. Bobby Allen picks up second place and charges after Sammy Swindell.
Sammy has smooth sailing, but he's about the only one from the 9th position back. They are wheel to wheel. In fact, they are touching wheels. This is Jack Hewitt. He has gone high into the 3X car of Danny Smith. The 63 car and the 3X car get together.
Danny Smith really got bounced around, but look at this. Bobby Davis Jr. spins it. Danny Smith is right there bumping off of him as well, and they both keep the power going, and they're both right back into the action.
They got into the 39 car of Tommy Estes Jr. also. Boy, I'll tell you, they scattered the railbirds with that one. So there was action in 2 locations on the racetrack, and that, to no surprise, has brought out the yellow flag. What a tough weekend for this young Charger. Bobby Davis Jr. from Memphis, Tennessee. A vicious crash yesterday, now involved in this shot. Here is the 48 car, Mark Kinser, and he apparently has stalled on the course. Clearly in trouble, and it doesn't look good for him either.
So let's go back to that incident in the 4th turn. The white 63 car is the one to watch as he slides right up and scrubs tires, bounces around with Danny Smith. They both lock up. It's a wonder that neither one of them got upside down. Danny Smith disentangles Jack Hewitt in 63, gets it all straightened out, and they rocket on down the main straightaway with 1X, Rick Unger in pursuit.
But Danny Smith's troubles were not over. Just seconds later, coming out of turn number 2 onto the backstretch, the 6th car of Bobby Davis Jr. gets sideways, and Danny has absolutely nowhere to go. So 2 times in 1 lap does Danny Smith get bounced around by his fellow competitors. And look at this, the rear tires are turning. There's one guy, the picture doesn't mean that much to him. He's out of there.
Both of them were able to keep the engines going and got spun around, pointed in the right direction, figured their way out of that little cloud, though it took one more loop for Bobby Davis Jr., and they were back into the action. But by this time, the yellow flag definitely out. The field slowed, and they'll have to line up one more time and put themselves in order, ready to go racing once again.
Well, I'm glad we didn't have any audio on Danny Smith. I don't think we could have used it, the things he might have had to say after that second entanglement. Here's the leaderboard. We're waiting for a restart. We've got a restart. Sammy Swindell again on the point. He tucks a wheel down low in the rough stuff, gets it back out as they head down into turn number 1. That's Swindell in front, Bobby Allen right behind him.
Bobby Allen comes to the inside, pulls alongside Sammy Swindell. Swindell holds him down the backstretch. Now Bobby Allen's going to try it high. Swindell tucks it in real low. They're side by side coming onto the main stretch again. And Bobby Allen just simply breezes past Sammy Swindell. Unbelievable.
He is a money racer. Scruffy from Pennsylvania, Bobby Allen. Now, he's the only one running this brand of tire. He may have a real soft tire there that's working for him, but it may not last. The race is for 6th spot back here also. That is Steve Kinser in in the 11 car, and Jack Howden's child fighting it out for 6th spot.
In the meantime, Brad Doty, who started in the front row, has settled for 4th place. That's Sills running in 3rd right now, and here is the fight for the lead.
Trouble again for the 6th car, Paul. Bobby Davis Jr. has spun into the infield. That car apparently suffering some damage that is causing it to handle rather evilly, because that is not typical driving by Bobby Davis. He's much better than these incidents would indicate. And here again is the fight for the lead. It is Bobby Allen, the defending champion of this race. Sammy Swindell, the number 1 on his car. Just behind him, Swindell goes in low. You know Allen can feel him there, hear him there. Swindell cannot get around him, Paul.
Bobby Davis spins so clean that they do not bring out the yellow flag. The fight for the lead continues. Bobby Allen now encounters back marker traffic as Swindell pulls in again. Allen chops down to the inside, keeps Swindell back there. They're on the main stretch. Allen is high, Swindell comes low, and Swindell picks up the lead using that back marker car very skillfully.
Absolutely. He used that car like you would a pawn in a chess game. He has now got the 1X machine of Rick Unger, who's a lap down between himself and Bobby Allen. Tremendous racing in this main event.
Sammy Swindell, it's a brand new car, fully adjustable. He picks up that left front wheel and flies down the backstretch. Here's somebody in trouble. Fast spin for the 23 car. Greg Woolley, this will indeed bring out the yellow flag. So the man from Oklahoma City has his problems, and the field will slow down with Sammy Swindell out in front, answering the...
When we left Devil's Bowl, well, now the red flag is out. So allow these drivers to refuel. There were so many yellow flag laps that was concerned they might run out of fuel. Here's our leader, the number 1 car of Sammy Swindell. Earlier, Paul took a look at how technically complete this machine is.
Well, this is Sammy Swindell's brand new Challenger chassis, and he's made an interesting change. One of the problems when you race the dirt is dirt clogging the radiators. Now, normally, the radiator would sit right here facing the front. Dirt can come up, clog the radiator. Sammy has switched to 2 radiators, both mounted facing outward in the side. The air comes through in the front, passes through the radiators, and out through the side of the car. Hopefully, less clogging, and therefore a more efficient engine and more horsepower. Steve Kinzer also has a new car this season. There was one engine that we were worried about a little bit earlier.
Paul, apparently we were right about a miss on the Bobby Allen motor, because this crew has moved in very quickly to replace the spark plugs, hoping possibly that's the problem. And it well could be. As many laps as they had to idle around under yellow flags and various other things, that could have fouled a plug. Let's hope, for their sake, that's the problem.
Well, these engines aren't designed to go slow, and when you do, you really bog them down. You can even cause some damage. Plugs being changed here, hopefully that'll make the difference. And you want to know how important racing is to some of these drivers. Here is Mark Kinzer. He is devastated by the fact that his machine will no longer race, and his day is done. We'll be back with the restart of the feature in just a moment.
Out, the number 1 car. Bobby Allen, number 2, followed by Jimmy Sills. And here is the number 10 car of Ron Schumann. We're taking a look at the first ever onboard camera in a Sprinter. Now, this track has gotten awfully bumpy. It remains to be seen how this fragile piece of electronics will handle it. He is currently in the 7th position.
Those are 2 slower cars, lap traffic actually, that sit just ahead in the lineup. So Schumann, from 7th position, really has his work cut out. Not only the positions he has to move forward through, but he's got some back markers in there as well. As Ronnie Schumann reaches up, makes sure that his helmet is hooked up to his shoulder strap so his head will stay upright as they rocket their way around this oval here that is slightly less than a half mile.
We're told there is 1 more pace lap to go to green. There are 16 laps left of this 30-lap feature, and so far it has been incredibly physical, incident after incident.
Sammy Swindell will lead the field down. Bobby Allen is actually in 2nd place, though the 70 car has been lined up there as well, and Bobby Allen is in 3rd position. Swindell coming into the 4th turn. He picks up the throttle. Here's the view from Ronnie Schumann as Schumann watches the entire field spread out in front of him, and Schumann decides it's up against the wall that's going to be the good place to run. He drops in behind. The field spreads out through the 1st and 2nd turn. Then Sammy Swindell way up in front, and Steve Kinzer makes his close.
That's right. This is the battle for the 3rd spot. 5M, Jimmy Sills, the white car, and of course the 11 car of Steve Kinzer. That is the fight for 3rd. Sills is in that position. Kinzer in 4th.
And the battle for 2nd place heats up now as Sills closes down on Brad Doty. Doty, number 18, is running in 2nd, but Jimmy Sills is right there.
Apparently, Bobby Allen, the 1A car, did not find their missing problem. He is falling back steadily. No horsepower.
The battle for second place continues. 18, Brad Doty tries to hold off Sills. Sills is in 5M. Here comes Steve Kinzer. This is a fight for third place. Sills thought that he was in good shape challenging for second, but now he's got Steve Kinzer, the king of the Outlaws, ripping at the back end of his car. And when Kinzer's back there, you really got to watch out. Notice, too, that in the corners, we're beginning to see a pouring of blue smoke off of the tires in turn 1 and 2. So the course is getting very hard indeed.
The man carrying our camera in his number 10 car, Ron Schumann, he is challenging Jack Hodgeschild for that 5th position. But, Paul, look how much abuse the camera is taking. I hope it's not that tough on Ron Schumann, but I'll bet it is.
Well, let's hope that the machine is working better than the camera, though it's still a magnificent picture, and you're really getting a great ride with Ronnie Schumann. As Schumann powers his way through the first turn one more time. A tremendous ride. Here is Steve Kinzer screaming after the third place car, 5M of Jimmy Sills. So the battle now here at third place. Brad Doty is sitting in second, and just up ahead of Brad Doty is Sammy Swindell.
As you well know, Paul, tire smoke means tire wear. And there's one young man out there, that's Brad Doty, currently running in the second position, that told us he was going to run a hard tire. Sitting in second, there's no smoke coming off it. He's in a perfect position, exactly on the strategy he had planned.
Brad Doty really showing some smoke as he came off turn 2 that time. All of the tire wear seems to be happening in the first turn, but now it's beginning to happen in 4 as Sills comes down behind Doty and Kinzer comes behind Sills. So it's a battle for second, and 3 cars are involved.
That number 11 car of Kinzer, that is the machine to watch because he is starting to turn up the wick. Steve Kinzer is closing in on Jimmy Sills. Steve Kinzer gets around him in turn number 4. Kinzer now in third place with his sights set on Brad Doty.
And Jack Hodgeschild has now moved into 5th place. So Kinzer third, and he takes a look at the second place machine of Brad Doty, number 18 just ahead. Jack Hodgeschild is back in 5th.
Now let's look at the tires of Brad Doty's machine, the right rear tire especially. See all the smoke off it? Kinzer comes through there with very little smoke. He's getting a better bite, Paul. He's getting a hold of the racetrack, and that can spell big trouble for Doty.
When he made that tire change just before the start, he apparently knew exactly what he was doing. We're back to the leader, Sammy Swindell, at the right of this small pack. That's slower traffic in front of him. Johnny Herrera, the 45 car, and Danny Smith, the 3X car. Oh, look at the skill of the master as Swindell just neatly slides in and out of the traffic, picking his way, unchallenged for the lead. The fight is for second place. Brad Doty, number 18, is second. Steve Kinzer right behind. Both men really burning the rubber on the right rear as they get through the first 2 turns, as Kinzer tries desperately to catch up with Doty. Doty, the number 18 car, gives it a long, long pitch coming onto the main stretch. He shows a little more tire smoke there, so they're wearing the tires down through the first and second turns.
Ron Schumann, the number 10 car. Here we see how bumpy that track really is as Ron rides in the 7th position. In front of him is Bobby Allen in 6th and Jack Hodgeschild in the 5th spot. The only thing that can cause the breakup you're seeing in this picture, it's still a great picture, is vibration from the bumpy racetrack. It's mounted solid to that race car, but bolted, strapped solid to that race car is Ron Schumann, so he's feeling a lot of that as well.
You know, for the first time, we may be getting a real idea of just how rough it is in a sprint car. Back to the fight for second place as Kinzer continues to worry the daylights out of Brad Doty. Doty, now desperate, has begun throwing the car totally sideways as he comes through 1 and 2. Here is Kinzer down to the inside again. Doty takes it all the way sideways. It may not work any longer as Kinzer comes inside. Doty slows and Kinzer picks up second place. So a switch here on the last lap. Sammy Swindell is the leader. Kinzer now runs in second place, and here comes Slammin' Sammy as he roars for the checkered flag. Sammy Swindell has won here at the Devil's Bowl. Steve Kinzer comes across in second,
and Brad Doty getting high in turn number 1 on that last lap cost him the 3rd place spot. Instead of Doty, it is Jimmy Sills finishing 3rd. Great action from Doty and Kinzer and Sills and Allen, but without a doubt, the classic drive of the day belonged to the number 1 car. Sammy Swindell, Bartlett, Tennessee, wins here. Devil's Bowl, it's time for the crowd to flock across the track into the pit area to congratulate the champion, Sammy Swindell. Steve Kinzer was second, Jimmy Sills a surprise 3rd. Brad Doty looked like it'd be 3rd, ended up 4th. Let's go to Paul Page.
Well, Sammy Swindell, you got it done, but on that first lap, when Bobby jumped up around you, did you think it was lost?
Well, no, not really. He had some different tires than we had, and, you know, he just showed me a spot on the racetrack, so that helped a little bit. You know, I was down on the bottom, and there was a nice spot right off where a guy dropped some oil in it, and it picked up a lot of rubber for the, you know, it was really nice and tacky out there, and I didn't know it. He just drove right by, so I knew about that end, but I didn't know about the other end, and he drove around me on the outside, but he was running a little bit softer tire than I was, so you know, he was better, and I was trying to save mine. We probably might have, you know, been a little wrong, but...
Any problems for you in the Kodiak car in that run? Anything that scared you?
Well, right there at the end, I was trying to lap a guy, and you know, I think he knew I was there, but you know, didn't know he was getting lapped. So you know, I got on the outside of him, and he didn't leave me enough room out there. I got out in the marbles and like went off down the track, but other than that, the race went pretty good.
Sammy, congratulations to you. Second place as the result of a tremendous battle. Here's Steve Evans.
Well, Steve, I know the competitor that you are. There's first place and no place, goes the old cliche, but still a fine drive.
Well, we come back and started back in the fourth row, and we got up to second, and I ran second to Sammy a lot of times, so it's nothing new. And yeah, he always gets around Devil's Bowl, especially in the daytime, really well, and yeah, you know, can't take nothing away from him. We're just real glad putting a new chassis together, first time running stuff. So yeah, we're happy with what happened. We'll get back to the night racing and a little bit more grooves on the racetrack, and we'll try to turn it on a little in.
Some good dice in there for a while, though, with Brad Doty.
Well, Brad's been running in the top three consistent all year, and never been out of the top three, and has really been consistent, and he's been running real good all year. So he's going to be real hard to beat also this year. So there's a lot of good competition.
Best of luck this year for another World of Outlaws title.
Thanks, Dave.
All right, Paul is with fourth.
Brad, I know there's a lot of disappointment here. You think the count's off?
I don't know. I saw him. I didn't actually see the white flag, but I saw him with it furled up, bringing it back, and I thought he already gave it to Sammy, you know, and was bringing it back to get the checkered ready for Sammy because Sammy was that far out front. Well, then we came around, which I thought was the final lap, and Steve and I were side by side, and I was trying to beat him to the flag thing. It was the last lap, and of course I wasn't watching the flagman. I thought the race was over and just left it drift on into the top, and hell, everybody started driving by me, you know, and I don't know if they miscounted or I read their flags wrong or what, but I saw him with the white flag bringing it back in and looked like he was going to stick it back in the holder, and I figured he'd already gave the white to Sammy, and I know he should have, you know, been waving it the whole lap, but I was racing hard and thought, well, you know.
So you used all your energy getting to the line and then coasted, but that was the white flag.
I was trying to beat Steve to the checker, which I thought was a checkered, and you know, I don't know if I would have beat him or not, but he had me in a position on the outside against the fence, rolling into one. I'd have had to get clear out of the throttle and pinch it to the bottom. Well, I just left the car go ahead and roll into the corner, slide up, and then Sills drove by us, and you know, then I realized, well, it looked like they're still racing pretty hard, and I went back at it again. Luckily, I thought the race was over, so.
Must be a terrible disappointment. Looks like you just won out of here.
Yeah, well, you know, I was running second all day long, you know, just going to run second, and I guess we're fourth or fifth now, so part of it, I guess.
Yeah. Good luck next time.